Really felt like you hit on something, that there was some energy flowing around your table that you would like to share. What really caught on? What was the last thing you were talking about that you didn't want to stop talking about?
So ending on this, what does it look like, taste like, feel like, smell like? We talked about the embracing imperfection as a way to invite and allow the water to kind of move in those places. And what it looks like is one spouse who is actually now an ex-spouse giving communion to their former spouse in the same community, that they're both still in the same community, and one is giving communion to the other with tears in their eyes, as an example.
Anyone else? Got one more.
Oh, no. I do too much. Well, it may be because because of the Waldo Canyon burn scar, I now live in a flood zone. So our thought was yes, there's the trickles and streams, but the fact of the matter is, if there's a flood of the Holy Spirit coming, it's going to come, and it's going to go where it's going to go. And if you have cleared the channels, it's easier to work with it than if they're all blocked up. It floods, it goes where you don't expect it to, it's in people's basements instead of watering where the water needs to be. So how do we get in line? We were talking about discernment and purpose, and how do we get in line? Because the flood is that trust in God and that little bit of that, the awe, the awesomeness, the fearfulness, because it's that big, and that's the piece that we ended on.
When Joffrey Black was elected General Minister and President of the United Church of Christ, the Cleveland Plain Dealer, the newspaper in Cleveland, did not carry any news at all about the transition from John Thomas to Joffrey Black. And having had a news journalism background myself, and having had, at the time, was a communications director, and knowing that the Louisville Courier-Journal would always cover news about the Presbyterians, and the Tennessean would always cover news about the United Methodist Church, and on, I began to wonder, what is it about us what is it about the Plain Dealer that they don't get, that we are here? And so I called the religion editor and asked if she would be willing to convene a conversation with us. And she said, sure, let me talk to my editor and we'll put something together. So I took Don Hill, our director of development, and the two of us went, and they gave us the most extravagant welcome you can imagine. They had a lunch for us. All of the top brass of the Cleveland Plain Dealer was there. We sat around a table and we had red and black comma folders for every one of them, and we began to tell them how we were the first to ordain every first that has ever been ordained. We began to outline how we were the best church that this world had ever seen, and we began to talk about how if it weren't for the Pilgrims, none of us would be here. We were just kind of everything. And at the end of it, they appreciated the wonderful story, but Susan Goldberg, who was then the editor-in-chief of the Plain Dealer, said, she said, I don't mean for you to take offense to this, but we didn't know you were here. We didn't know you were here. And the religion reporter had gotten sort of defensive. He was like, well, I've written church articles on Plymouth Church and Shaker Heights, and I've written on Pilgrim Church and in Tremont. I've written stories about UCC congregations, and we were saying it's bigger than that. It's that the denominational presence is here, and it came down to the fact that they didn't know we were here. And I thought, ouch, ouch. That hurts. because it hurts because we left that meeting where the focus had been on the plain dealer and how they were wrong and that they weren't doing the thing they were doing, and they turned very politely the mirror back on us, and so we began to ask very serious questions of ourselves in the national setting. What is it about us as staff people in Cleveland? Are we so busy running and flying off to other places that we don't pay attention to the place where God has planted us as a corporate presence, as a church witness uniquely in the city of Cleveland? And I think that is a metaphor for all of us. In fact, it was the impetus behind the birth of our Faith In project, to encourage us to talk about the ways in which we have faith in Denver, faith in Boulder, faith in Cheyenne, faith in Cleveland. How do we demonstrate our faith in God and Jesus Christ in the places where we are planted? I hear that as one of the very essential shifts in conversation that all of us have to begin to make. How is it that we are not asking the questions around our own institutional survival, but asking the larger question, where is God already at work and calling the church to be at work in the places where we find ourselves, and how can we join in and respond to the leading of God? We in the church often celebrate the pinnacle of the Christian story is Easter, of course. But I often think that really the high point of the Christian story is Ascension Sunday. Because after the disciples and followers of Jesus were all gathered and huddled and afraid, Jesus appeared to them, and appeared to them multiple times, and appeared to them when they were out fishing from the wrong side of the boat, and helped to sort of accompany them along that journey. But then there came a point in which, at that hill of Bethany outside Jerusalem, where Jesus physically left them in a way that that something was different now. Something was going to be different. And in that, what I think is the miraculous point of that moment of the Ascension story is that it didn't all just end right there. Because all of the disciples, all the early followers of Jesus were like one big gaggle of Gomer piles. You know, that's the way we portray them. And in that moment, I think Jesus was not looking upon their foolishness. He was looking upon their wisdom. And he was trusting in them that they had the potential and the wisdom, the chutzpah, to carry what he had planted in them forward. Barbara Brown Taylor says it's not so much so that Jesus ascended that day as much as Jesus exploded that day and floated down upon all of us in the form of the Holy Spirit, which we continue to proclaim as the still speaking God in our midst. So as we go forth from this place, I hope that we will take with us not our foolishness, not our ineptness, not the feelings that we've tried so many times before and we failed and we just don't have any more good ideas, but remember that Jesus is looking upon your wisdom. Jesus trusts in your abilities. Jesus trusts in your congregation. Jesus believes that you have a purpose and a mission in this world. And if that is the mantle upon our shoulders, then how can we have any other opinion of ourselves? Amen. Amen. The workshop time begins at 10:15. I will be leaving. It's been a pleasure to be with all of you. Thank you.